Artificial intelligence is here to stay, let's face it. So a lot of this wearable technology, I've got, this is what I'm wearing right now. I'm wearing a Garmin watch, which I can look on here and I can see my heart rate, which right now is sitting at 62. And that's actually pretty good
That's
because I try to stay
That's excellent.
calm.
We're getting a handle on the obesity crisis. What I'm sad to see is that we're not addressing the root of the problem. So
Yeah.
when people stop these weight loss drugs, then there's this thing called rebound. And sometimes when we rebound to 2 and 3 times the size that we started with.
There was one thing that the people could really own. That would be the understanding of the power, the role, the duty, the responsibility, the authority of our states.
We're starting to see a lot of technological trends that are going to be very powerful for maintaining health and fitness at the end of your own wrist or in your pocket or even on your finger. Let's talk about some of this wearable technology.
Well, artificial intelligence is here to stay, let's face it. So a lot of this wearable technology, I've got, this is what I'm wearing right now. I'm wearing a Garmin watch, which I can look on here and I can see my heart rate, which right now is sitting at 62. And that's actually pretty good because I try to stay calm so that I can speak clearly, because when you're excited or too stressed out, you can't. Your critical thinking and communication skills go down. So I actually work on diaphragmatic breathing while I'm in the office talking to people so I keep my heart rate nice and low. Sometimes these things can give you your body temperature as well.
Like the Oura Ring.
Oura Ring, I have it over here. That's OURA. This thing will give me my heart rate variability. It'll give me my body temperature. It'll give me my respiration rate. And it also gives me, again, my heart rate. It gives me a sleep score that's downloaded by an app to my phone. And so I analyze the sleep score off both of these, and many times they're pretty close. The Garmin gives me a state of readiness. So this technology we have is... it's really interesting on what you can achieve. One thing that I'll say about this, though, a lot of people out here are concerned about artificial intelligence because there's a lot of people that say, well, I don't want this type of technology put under my skin. And that's coming, right? So, you know, there's going to be some of that out there. So I think people need to be aware of that. But all artificial technology that deals with fitness and stuff can give you active real-time feedback that helps you be aware of things like a sleep pattern.
Yes, well, I have actually learned not to look at my Oura Ring the morning after I've had a rough night of sleep, because it can actually psych me out if I see I've had absolutely no deep sleep. I will wait till the next day or the day after to go back and calculate, okay, what do I need to change? Have I over-exercised? Did I overeat? What was actually going on in the 24-hour to 48-hour window before I had that rough night?
Well, yeah, and I think you can also look at these trends of data points that you can get from an analytic standpoint, and you can see what you're doing. A lot of people, like I've learned, if I eat late or later and have less time between the time I've ate my meal and the time I go to bed, I don't necessarily get as good a sleep. I've also learned that if I obviously if I have a glass of wine or something, you know, right, I don't get enough quality sleep, and that has an effect on me somehow. I don't really know how that all works, but it's helped me a lot being aware of certain things, knowing what to do and what not to do. One thing that I use mine for that I didn't mention earlier is I used to track my activity during the week. So I set my counter for 200 minutes of activity every week. That's dedicated activity that I have to do, and that's combined cardiovascular activity and weight training. And I try to do something every day. And 200 minutes is my bottom line. And I try to get at least that much every single week. And most of the weeks I get 300 or so, but that keeps me on point with activity.
Well, and some of the other technologies that are absolutely game changing are things like the Dexcom or the glucose monitors that go on the skin that come to your phone. For example, an apple doesn't work the same in every single person. It might spike one person's blood sugar up to 200, that's a type 2 diabetic, and a normal person that has no issues with blood sugar, it might not spike it at all. So different carbohydrates work differently in different systems, and now we have technology with these wearable devices that can actually help us improve our health. And they're recorded right on a phone, so we can track them in real time. Just put it over the meter, the monitor, and we know exactly where we're sitting as far as blood sugar levels.
Yeah, they're called CGM, continuous glucose monitoring. This sure beats pricking the finger. Some of you out there going, yeah, I remember doing that. But we were just on vacation recently, and it was amazing. You used to never see these things. I probably saw a half dozen people with them on the back of their arm or maybe on the side of their belly. And you're right, these things track the blood sugar. And like when I eat an apple and you eat an apple and you eat an apple, it can generate a different amount of blood sugar based upon various things like our differences of gut microbiome and the way we break things down from an enzymatic standpoint. And so it's very interesting to work on perhaps personalization of a dietary plan. And I've heard people say before that if they eat their protein first in a meal before they eat their carbohydrates, they've observed a pattern as opposed to having those flipped, where they get a pattern of lower blood sugar consistently. So these are really cool results that you can learn and employ for betterment of health from these wearable devices.
I've had several patients that have caught this cardiac dysrhythmias much sooner than they would have otherwise.
Yeah.
They catch a rapid heart rate that's in the 120s, 130s, and it's on the rise and it's not normal. So they're in getting these things checked out quicker and sooner before they end up with that chronic dysrhythmia, like a chronic atrial fibrillation, that if it's been there for years undiagnosed, sometimes that can't be reversed without an ablation.
Well, it's good to know what you don't know. And so I think that people should not really avoid, using these wearables. I hear a lot of people talk about, the 5G and radiation and frequencies. I get all that. But sometimes, let's take the best of all worlds and try to find the worst of all worlds within the best of worlds and use these technologies to help. I've used these a lot, and for us, it's been really beneficial. So now, hopefully this is a discussion that gives you good information on deciding what, if any, of these wearables you get and how to use them best. I don't recommend putting them under the skin. Don't do that. But I think that some of these ones we've mentioned are very, very, very helpful, and I think they'll help you too.
Anti-obesity drugs are on the rise. Good for you or not?
We'll find out next.
And when you navigate through these economies with people, here's what happens. We want to hold their hand through it, let them know when it's time to buy, sell, reallocate, get out of Dodge. Because a lot of times when you're struck with fear does two things. Number one, it can paralyze, and people just put their head in the sand and say, I'm just going to forget about it and hopefully it gets better. Or it causes you to make a wrong decision. And this is why we are here, is to help people navigate through the political quagmire nonsense that's going on, the economic malaise, and the absolute collapse that we're seeing. And when our freedoms are eroding, our political freedoms, our economic freedoms, our personal freedoms, our religious freedoms, our health freedoms, they're all tied together. But you know what doesn't need to erode with that? Our finances.
KirkElliottPhD.com/Sherwood.
There's a lot of talk these days about human enhancement.
Terms like biohacking, bioharmonizing, biosynergizing, stacking, resilience, and anti-fragility.
In our clinic, the Functional Medical Institute, we've been helping people of all shapes, sizes, and backgrounds improve their quality of their physiology and maximize their lives.
So, you can follow the latest fads and gimmicks and maybe find some things that work for you.
Or you can add Kingdom Fuel to your daily regimen right now.
It's the simple start to a transformed life.
Our unique meal shakes are balanced, low glycemic, rich in fiber with 20 grams of clean protein, essential vitamins and minerals, healthy fats, and organic fruits and vegetables. Kingdom Fuel is vegan with a complete amino acid profile.
No gimmicks, just proven results.
Start today at sherwood.tv/fuel.
Hey there, Kevin Sorbo here. Now, deep down, we know this. We're more than just a brain and a body. We're a spirit, we're a soul, and we're also a physical temple. If you hit the wall when you're trying to improve one aspect of your being, it's probably because, well, other aspects are sabotaging our success. So that's why diets don't work. And frankly, why so much conventional wisdom from our so-called medical establishments falls flat. Doctors Michele and Mark Sherwood have a very different approach. I should know because I happen to be one of their patients. They address the whole person to get to know you, your challenges, and more importantly, what your goals are. Then they offer a complete plan that addresses your unique biology and your heart. They'll help you discover what you need to experience transformation. So find out more at sherwood.tv/Sorbo. That's sherwood.tv/Sorbo, or see the link before. Now, I'm heading for a workout. You should be going for a workout too. All right, guys. God bless.
It's become a very common phenomenon for people to seek out weight loss drugs. And there's a few weight loss drugs that have become very, very popular. In fact, the market prediction for these weight loss drugs is in the billions of dollars.
Yeah, 100 billion to be exact. Isn't that crazy? So the issue with them is, we've used some. We'll be talking about the weight loss drugs such as, so we can name a few: semaglutide, Wegovy, Mounjaro, Ozempic, tirzepatide. Now, we have used semaglutide and tirzepatide. We can talk a little bit about in a minute what those are, but that industry is booming right now. Now, one side of that statement concerns me a lot. It's booming. Why is it booming? Because we have a major problem. So if it's booming, and for the correct way, it should correct the problem. Therefore, the problem it's correcting should go down. The problem being this obesity pandemic that we have. And if that goes down, they're going to lose money over here. So what I'm hoping happens that even as that goes up, the expense on the other side of the thing goes down. If it doesn't, we've got even a double problem.
Well, I am glad to see that we're getting a handle on the obesity crisis. What I'm sad to see is that we're not addressing the root of the problem. So when people stop these weight loss drugs, then there's this thing called rebound. And sometimes when we rebound to 2 and 3 times the size that we started with. Now, when those peptides are utilized, those drugs are peptides. They're chains of amino acids that are less than 40 amino acids long. When they're used, the GIPs or the GLPs to be specific, they create a sense of satiety. That sense of satiety kind of tells the brain, hey, well, I'm not hungry. And if that hunger is satisfied, oftentimes people are not going back to the refrigerator when they're bored, when they're emotional, when they're tired, when they're stressed. That's a habit that we've gotten into to satiate all of those situations, if you will. So the hope is that when we're utilizing those peptides, we actually create a better relationship with what's on our plate, and we actually come to an understanding that we don't need this biggie size or the super size or the bigger plates and the second servings and the third portions. And oftentimes we don't even need the in between the meal snacks if we actually do the long-term behavioral changes and we understand that this body is run on nutrients and not calories. Then the whole situation has a chance to really diminish long-term diseases like heart disease, like diabetes, like joint disease, from the massive amount of impact that being overweight can play on the knees, the ankles, the back, and likewise.
Now, we've had tremendous success with them, but we've used them different than what their market is. Their market is weight loss drugs. And we've had many, many discussions about the idea that weight loss as a target's a bad thing. But we use them with a strategy, what we call like a training wheel effect, to train people to ride lifestyle correctly.
That's
and
right.
By using that, we actually talk about the food they bring in. Unlike the mass market out there that's just saying, take this drug and you'll lose weight, which probably is true, but it's not changing behavior. And therefore, as you mentioned, if there's a person that's not on it all the way, they can get a bounce back effect. And further, because they're not eating as much, because those things do produce satiety quicker, this is my concern. We're going to see people eat less and less and become malnourished and actually lose weight, but also lose muscle tissue, which is metabolically negative. So I think there's a lot of things that have to happen to make this thing used correctly. And I hope that people out there that are utilizing these drugs, there's a bunch of them out there, I hope they're utilizing them right. And I'll say this unequivocally, if you're not utilizing them right, and you want to utilize them right where they make sense, you can get a hold of us, because we have used them a lot ourselves. Now, I'm not overweight, you're not overweight, but I remember I used them probably from November of probably 2022 to probably May of 2023. So I want to know how to start it, stop it, what it felt like, how to take too much, how to take too little. I want to know everything about that, and my wife did the same thing. So as we used those things, we understood how to work them efficiently and how to get our body composition reduced. What did I just say? We maintained muscle tissue, we lost fat tissue, and we're able to see our hemoglobin A1Cs drop. Mine dropped to 4.9. I'd never had an A1C like that before.
Well, and mine dropped to 4.1. The interesting thing I also find out about this is that we do a lot of genetic testing. You can click the link on our website if you want to have your genes tested. And oftentimes people do have an insufficiency in the ability to produce the GLP-1 analogs.
Yep.
So therefore, this is going to really help that person that doesn't have that satiety signal from the insufficiency of that peptide.
Yeah, and if you're wondering out there, genetically speaking, like, what is that? TCS7 like 2, transcription factor 7 like 2. That's a gene we're talking about. If you have that mutation there, or a little polymorphism, let's talk professionally there, you don't secrete that GLP-1 very well, and that actually causes you to actually not hear the full signal. So this actually is a great strategy for those type of people. So these drugs are great. They really are, if used appropriately. But like anything else, if used inappropriately, they're going to become a negative. And our hope is that these things will be used correctly. But hey, we can't change the world, but we can change one person at a time. So hopefully this has helped you understand that these things aren't bad. Don't believe all the rumors, but we've given you our best sort of discussion and information on how to use these things correctly. So they can be of great benefit to eliminate the obesity crisis.
And you want to use them with a licensed professional so you avoid all of the side effects and you don't put yourself in harm's way.
What does our Constitution really mean? And how do we interpret it? Find out next with our constitutional attorney expert, Chris Ann Hall.
Let's get real. Most emergency food is just as bad for you as any other choice in the standard American diet. And that's just sad.
We don't just need food. We need highly nutritional food.
We don't just want to survive food shortages. We are meant to thrive in adversity.
Complete your daily nutrition and have shelf-stable Kingdom Fuel as a cornerstone of your food supply.
Don't sacrifice your health or your taste buds.
Stock up on Kingdom Fuel now.
And when you navigate through these economies with people, here's what happens. We want to hold their hand through it, let them know when it's time to buy, sell, reallocate, get out of Dodge. Because a lot of times when you're struck with fear does two things. Number one, it can paralyze, and people just put their head in the sand and say, I'm just going to forget about it and hopefully it gets better. Or it causes you to make a wrong decision. And this is why we are here, is to help people navigate through the political quagmire nonsense that's going on, the economic malaise, and the absolute collapse that we're seeing. And when our freedoms are eroding, our political freedoms, our economic freedoms, our personal freedoms, our religious freedoms, our health freedoms. They're all tied together. But you know what doesn't need to erode with that? Our finances.
KirkElliottPhD.com/Sherwood.
You know, people often ask me, what has been the most destructive lie the American people have been taught about the federal government and the U.S. Constitution? Now, Doc, you and I have talked about this on a previous segment, but it really boils down to the lie that the Supremacy Clause in the Constitution establishes that the federal government and federal laws are superior to state laws and state constitution. Now, our previous segment went into detail and explained how that is absolutely not true. And just a simple reading of Article 6, Clause 2, which is the Supremacy Clause, proves that. But you see, with that deception that has really infested the minds and politics of American government, we have had a falling away of the understanding of governors and attorneys general and even the people of their states of the power and the duty and the responsibility of the state to stand against the exercise of unauthorized federal power. And if there was one thing that I want the American people to really know today, if there was one thing that the American people could know that would change the whole dynamic. I'm not usually a one thing person, right? Because I understand that life is multifaceted and there are many solutions to a single problem and there are complications and details that need to be worked out. So I'm never really a one thing person, but in this situation, there was one thing that the people could really own. That would be the understanding of the power, the role, the duty, the responsibility, the authority of our states to say to the federal government, I'm sorry, that the Constitution does not authorize the exercise of that power, and we will not comply. And so in that authority, we have a solution to nearly every single federal problem that we see today. The ATF gun grab. States actually have the authority and the duty to say, no, we're not going to let you enforce those laws in our state because there's no authority for you to govern what we sell and how our people keep and bear arms within our states. There's no authority for you for that. No, we're not going to let your Environmental Protection Agency come in and rule and reign over our land. And by the way, the FDA and the USDA, sorry, we don't find that authority in the Constitution. Because remember, we're the states that created the federal government. We're the creators of the federal government. And as the creators of the federal government, we have the authority to say, you know what, we didn't create you with that power. So that power does not exist to be authorized in our state. Not only are we not going to help you exercise that power, but we're not going to let you exercise that power on our people. The Department of Education, the Department of Interior, the Department of Ag, the Forestry Service, all of these organizations are extra constitutional. And according to Article 6, Clause 2, if their power is not exercised pursuant to the Constitution, the power is null and void. And what the American people and our governors and our attorneys general need to understand is that applies to the judiciary as well. The Supreme Court's authority is limited and defined by Article 3. The Supreme Court and federal court authority is limited and defined by the powers delegated to the federal government. So if the power, the authority is not delegated to the federal government, the federal judiciary doesn't have jurisdiction over the matter. So if there is no authority for delegated to the federal government to rule and reign over what we eat, what we drink, what we smoke, what we ingest, what we wear, what we buy, what we sell, how we live, how do we use our resources in our states, all these things that happen internally in the state, then the Supreme Court has no jurisdiction over those matters either. So we have to understand, and we really have to own this, that our states not only have an authority, they have a responsibility to say no. And we have this information documented for you in our book, Sovereign Duty. We have this information documented for you in a film we call Non-Compliant Movie that can be found at noncompliantmovie.com. And we want to help you know this, because all political power is derived from the people, and the people have to stand for the proper application of their Constitution in order to defend their rights. So thank you, Doc, for letting me bring this information to the people. There are many ways to come to this understanding. We want to help you with some of them, but that's the one thing I wish everybody would know right now.
Can a shake transform your life?
Well, if it helps you invest in your health on a daily basis, the answer is
yes.
Consistency is key, and there's not a better, simpler way to begin your change.
That's why we offer a bunch of helpful bonuses when you subscribe to Kingdom Fuel.
Kingdom Fuel is our complete nutritional meal shake.
It's the simple start to a transformed life.
We'll auto-ship every month so you don't run out.
You'll receive 2 free shaker cups, free access to our video courses, and a monthly call with us filled with practical inspiration.
Just see the link below or on your screen and subscribe today.
Introducing OK Movie Stream, your ticket to a world of cinematic classics and wonders, right from the heart of Oklahoma and the surrounding areas.
The Neals are moving to Oklahoma.
Dive into a world of captivating stories and extraordinary talent, all on OK Movie Stream.
Oh yeah, I did. You see, I gave you a crazy look because I...
Choose the option that suits you best. Watch for free with commercials, binge watch your favorites for 3 days, or unlock ad-free streaming for just $10 a year. Join the OK Movie Stream community today and embark on a cinematic journey like never before.